Hi everyone, I'm Coach Rick Stockel. I am co-owner of Newman and Dunn Real Estate here in Central Virginia, as well as I am a high school boys basketball coach at Monacan High School. I've sold over 1,300 homes here in Central Virginia, and I would love to work with you and your family in your home buying needs. I am a proud primary sponsor of Ballin' in Virginia, and I hope you enjoy this show.
Welcome to another episode of BallinVA, and today, I'm back here. It is the fall, September 2023. Today, I got one of my main sponsors here, main man, I should say, Rick Stockel, assistant basketball coach at Monacan High School, and he's also one of three owners at Newman Dunn Realty. What's going on, Rick?
Hey Larry, how are you?
Man, I'm glad to have you back in here because it's funny because the last time you was in here was in September.
It was, exactly.
So I don't know what it is for September
ago.
to be, man. We back in here again.
That was a very fun show.
Yeah, and that's when I first met you, because I got a lot of questions. Everybody was like, oh man, did you know Rick before then? I was like, I didn't know him. I seen him, but I didn't know him. And I said, but I just felt like when we were sitting beside each other, we had a great chemistry.
I agree.
And I just felt that energy. And I just said, man, I don't know what it is. And I told Zach and I told Tim, I said, I don't know about him, man. I just felt that energy from him, man. It was really cool.
I agree, and I'm one that loves passion in anybody, no matter what you do in life. If you're passionate, I tend to just like those people. And you have passion. And we have a similar passion in youth sports, high school sports.
Yes, we do. And I just want to go on record as saying thank you so much for what you do for me and what you do for us here at Morrisette Media, man, because without you, being one of my sponsors, man, it wouldn't go as a way to go. And you helped me be able to get out and do the things that I want to do by helping me taking care of this, man. I just don't know how to repay you other than try to put out great episodes.
Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, every episode is great. And again, love listening to you, love watching you. And it's kind of fun to do a lot of advertising and a lot of magazines, online advertising for real estate. Mm-hmm. But I always feel like I get the best bang for my buck to help sponsor your show, you and your show, because it's something that this is my second passion. Real estate's my first passion. Obviously, it helps pay the bills. And, but basketball and high school sports is my second passion.
Yes, and speaking of that, like I said, when we talk, and I know we're going to get more into that, Rick, let me tell you something. I'm younger than Rick. Rick always, he talks about that. You're younger than I am. But Rick still plays ball, everybody, 3 to 4 times a week.
I do.
I ain't doing that, okay?
Sometimes it's 5 times a week.
Sometimes it's 5. I ain't there no more, okay? I just ain't there. You'll see me at the game 4 times a week. But me being at playing, that ain't happening. Sorry, just ain't happening. So Rick will probably run circles around me. But like I said, man, other than that, what else has been going on, man, with you? I know that y'all getting ready for the season.
We are.
It's starting to get that time at Monacan. As far as the new season, and I don't know what you or RJ and everything is going to be expected, but I'll be there. But just kind of give us a little bit background before we actually start.
Sure,
so
we've got open gyms a couple times a week.
Okay.
Open to any of the boys that are thinking of playing, or even if they don't want to play, it's open to everybody. And we have a really young team. I think potentially. Not to put my foot in the mouth, but I think in the next couple of years, we'll have another couple of years of state quarterfinals at least, if not state champion. We just have a lot of young players and several seniors this year and a junior. I still consider him Promise to be young.
Yeah.
And they're all talented.
Yes.
And they're, Sam Sims. We have a kid, Walker Lloyd, Promise, a kid named Amari, and Jackson Bunn, whose dad played at ODU.
Okay. Joe.
Ty Bowler, right,
Yep.
Joe. And we have a young man who's also a sophomore, Kobe.
Okay.
Can shoot lights out. And that's the nucleus of a really good team. And the freshmen last year, in my opinion, and I love every player that's come through Monacan, I truly have liked.
Okay.
Even if they can be knuckleheads, which young men can be. That's just part of, I was a knucklehead.
Yeah, we mature late.
We mature later,
Yeah,
right?
we
No
do.
doubt about it. So that's just part of being a young man. But of all the teams I've coached, this is the first group of freshmen that really want to learn and get better, that don't necessarily think they know everything already.
Right.
Not that our previous teams did at all.
Right.
But this nucleus of players really just wants to get better. And they're willing to work on their game, and they're really good teammates. And I certainly hope we keep everyone together for the next 3 or 4 years. I really do.
In this day and age, it's so hard because of the social media, and it's almost like high school transfer portals now. If they see somebody else winning, I want to go over to that school, and or should I say, open enrollment. That's what they call it. Let's not say recruitment. Open enrollment.
Yeah, but it's kind of recruitment. But
Exactly.
enrollment.
But I want to be politically correct here.
Right.
And I'm throwing a shot at some people, so they know why I'm saying
and
that.
I'm not. I'm
No, you're not,
throwing
but I
no
am.
shots at anybody.
I am. They know
it
what I
is
mean
what
by
it
that. It
is.
is what it is. We in that day and age.
And
at
Monacan, we coach the players that come.
right.
If you come to our school, great, we're going to coach you.
You're right.
If you leave, well, we'll coach the remaining players. But this group is particularly unique because of the culture in today, where there's an esprit de corps, kind of like the Marines. If once you're a Marine, the day you graduate boot camp, you're a Marine for life.
Right.
And what we've done at Monacan is kind of create, and R.J. Spellsberg, phenomenal coach, Matt Bowles, Vince Ross, Phil, and Les is now coaching with us last couple of years. We've just created a culture, and it's incredible to see how many alumni come back and play with us
Yes.
at open gyms. I mean, this past fall, we were having 13, 14 alumni come back.
Yes.
And that makes a difference to these younger players because they can see how Monacan, the players love playing for us so much that they want to come back. I mean, just this past Tuesday, we had 3 alumni come back. And Darian Peterson, Miles Loving, Nista Wilson, all came back, all graduated. Darian's, I think, getting ready to go play overseas.
TOCs, yeah.
I think Miles has his own clothing line or something.
Yeah, he went to ODU for a little while.
Went to ODU. I think if you talk to Miles, he might have some regrets of not playing
He
basketball.
was a very good basketball player. Him and my son won a championship at ODU playing intramurals.
Yeah,
The first year.
Oh,
well, his first year, my son's second year.
he's probably the fastest player I've ever coached.
Yeah.
And he's still fast. And then Nistel, I know he's got some stuff going on, positive stuff. He was one of our best three-point shooters ever. And when he got on a roll, he'd hit 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, just in rhythm. But anyway, we played against the younger players, the kids in school. Those 3, myself, and I think Jackson played with us.
Okay.
We ran off 6 or 7 wins. And it's just, and then after practice ended, Amari was shooting around with Darian. And I think Miles and Nistel were probably talking with some of the other younger players. And, we're coaches. Players generally listen to coaches, certainly when they want to. But when you have alumni coming back who have played for us recently and they're talking to the players, it just creates continuity.
Makes it much
And it
easier.
lets our players know that we really care about them, not only for basketball. Of course, our goal is to win, but we also care about them as young men, and we want them to succeed. And for me as a coach, I didn't play college ball. Matt and RJ played college ball. They were really good college ball players. I was a wrestler in high school. Back when I was young, at my high school, I was too little. I was like 5'5", and little guys didn't play that much, at least where I came from. And I come from a really good high school.
Okay.
We put players. Let's see, Lance Miller. He played at Villanova.
Okay. And where did you go to high school?
I went to a high school called Bridgewater Raritan West up in Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Okay.
And, we had pretty good basketball. Of course, wrestling was almost as popular as basketball where I grew up.
Yeah, when I come up, it was the same way. Wrestling was just as equally as important.
Yeah, and since I wasn't getting a look from the basketball coach, I said, I'll wrestle because it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know it's no teammates, and if I succeed, it's because of me. Mm-hmm. And I was a really good high school wrestler. So anyway, that's where I came. So that school created a tradition of winning, and winning creates winning. But so I want to win. I want to help coach our boys to win games, but it's more important to me to help them win at life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I can't tell you how excited I am when these kids come back. Hey, coach, I'm in an HVAC training program. I'm in my 4th year. Next year, I get fully released. Or another young man is in an electrician program.
Mm-hmm.
He's set for life.
Oh, definitely.
I love that.
Definitely.
And I've written reference letters for several of our players to get into college. Boy, that's an honor.
Oh, absolutely.
That they trust me enough to be one of their 2 or 3 reference letters, right? Because I just see them at practice. But, I love seeing our alumni come back. Actually, some of the alumni still play with me when I play it Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at the CarMax gym.
Okay, yep.
I've got friends who work at CarMax, and they reserve the gym, and my group plays. And a bunch of our former players play with me. Eli Bradley, he's in town. I know you know Eli. He's Mondo's good friend.
Yep, just graduated with him at A&T.
A&T, right?
I just saw him at Mondo's camp.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Eli is just a
Good
wonderful
kid.
young man. Great
Good
kid.
kid, yeah.
They don't get any.
And I know his dad worked at Coca-Cola for years. We've always
Correct.
been, yeah.
Correct. And he comes from good family, and so Eli still plays with us. There's a young man, Quincy Green, who played at Blessed Sacrament when RJ, me, and Matt coached there. He's now doing modeling, and he sells insurance. Good-looking young man. I can see why he's a popular model, but he's played with us several times. Darian's brother, Daniel, and another player, Ed.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Alden was in there a little while ago. He just left.
Alden, now he doesn't play with us, but Alden comes back to
back.
Monacan.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to reconnect with them, and they're not high school kids anymore. They're college graduates or in college, or they're real young men getting real jobs. So, I see my role as, of course, helping coach RJ and Matt and everyone else, but I want to help them be prepared for life. And I mean that, and that's my passion. Again, my son is 24 now. I was a knucklehead, in a good way. But so I don't judge these young men. They're like you said, they're in the process of developing. So if they do something silly or stupid, you make it a learning lesson, and hopefully they improve. And we're not all perfect. We're human.
Right.
So hopefully they can learn from that. But to get back to we've built a winning program, I believe, and it shows when these alumni want to come back. They still want to come back to Monacan.
That's right.
And they become another. We've had a bunch of our former players, Darian in particular, talk to various teams throughout the year. Darian's a low-key guy.
But he's very active in the community.
He's very active. And again, not that I have favorite players, but he and Alden and Eli just...
And that was a favorite. That was, and I had to cut across you, but that was a special group, Coach, I should say.
It was a very special group. And, we were in the Richmond Times. This is going back to our 15-16 state championship team.
Right.
We were very average. I forget what our record was, maybe barely 500. And it was the 3rd game of the Richmond Times Dispatch, and we beat Highland Springs.
Yep. Big deal.
And a young man named Kwame came off the bench.
Yep. I know Kwame well.
Great. Again, another wonderful, smart young man.
Came from a great family. Shout out
Great
Kwame.
family. Absolutely. Wonderful family. And he helped spark that win. And then we beat Heritage I think it was
Newport
Heritage.
News. Yep.
At home, and it was everyone figured out their role.
Yep.
Everybody. Everyone didn't have to be the man, but everyone had a chance to be the man depending on the game, the matchup, the time, the situation. And it was it was amazing to see. We were like shot out of a cannon. We were not the most talented team in the States.
No.
But we were the most together team.
I will agree with
a
that.
lot of talented players, and we ended up winning the States.
And there was a lot of maturity because a lot of those guys I'm familiar with from middle school, and just seeing their maturation from that point, from how immature they were at Providence Middle.
Yeah.
And like I told you plenty of times, that's one of the reasons why I opted to send my son elsewhere, because I thought the same thing was going to happen. But everyone matures differently, and you guys peaked at the right time. It will be equivalent to being in the NCAA tournament and how teams get on the run. We've seen it this year where I think maybe 3 or 4 teams
Absolutely.
that were mid-majors got to the Final Four.
Correct.
And you don't see that, and your run was equivalent to that.
And part of the reason the mid-majors got on that run is they had a lot more juniors and seniors.
Right.
And they're maturing as juniors and seniors.
Right.
And you still have the younger players, the one and dones or the two and dones. But when you have some older players who actually play, their maturity rubs off.
Yep, and it helps the younger people buy in a lot quicker.
Correct.
You don't
And-
have to do a lot of coaching.
Correct. I mean, another reason, and RJ and I were talking about that this year, when RJ coached at Stewart, the first time I met him, he was teaching at St. Bridget. Our son was going to St. Bridget. And my wife said, "Oh, this guy RJ, he's a WVU fan. My wife went to WVU, so they made the connection first." She said, "Yeah, he may want you to coach with him." I'm like, "What?" Because I was coaching middle school at St. Bridget and loving it. And again, I worked 60, 70 hours a week in real estate.
Right.
When am I going to find time to play and coach? Well, somehow you make it work, right?
That's right.
So I went and saw one of RJ's practices, and it was an hour and a half practice, 90 minutes. And the entire practice, RJ and I just talked. He had Leandro and another young man, I forget, I didn't know their players, but they literally ran the entire practice while RJ and I talked. RJ occasionally said, "Do this drill," but basically they ran the entire practice. So our state championship team was at that point with Alden and Nick Parks and all the players and Darian and Garrett Ugich,
Yep.
just a natural leader.
Trayvon McPhail.
Trayvon. They all were experienced. They all knew our system. That was our second year. And we could let them run most of practice. So this team, this year, having the freshmen either play varsity last year or, in Kobe's case, practice with the varsity, and RJ and I were talking, this is one of those groups that we can let them run their own practices.
Right.
Now, if it proves differently, so be it.
Okay.
But so far, they've shown the maturity and they're hungry, and they play together, that this could be one of those special teams. And again, Sam Sims being just a natural leader, everyone buys in. So this could be one of those teams where they could run practice the entire time, and we step in just to show some new plays or, make some changes. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, and think about it. You had a little bit of everything on that team. Like I said, you had Wallace Washington. He was a scorer.
Absolutely. Wallace, no one could drive to the basket like him.
Yeah.
And late game situations or whenever we needed a basket,
You know who to go to.
Wallace, you just knew he was going to get it and somehow find a way.
Yep.
Still incredible. Wallace, just the type of player every coach wants to have in his team.
He hit that big shot at the buzzer.
Several big shots.
Yeah, several big shots. But the
big
most
shots.
important one to put you in the championship game, he hit that shot against GW Danville.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
which is probably one of the biggest shots that he hit.
Yep. Wallace, just real good player, good young man. I haven't seen him in ages.
Yeah, he's doing well. Just graduated from Howard.
I heard about that.
Yeah, he's doing
did hear.
well. He's
So
doing
hopefully
well.
he's set in his career. Smart young man. So I'm assuming. I think he came to one game last year.
Because his sister still plays.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
Amira,
great.
Amira Washington. Look out, be on the lookout for her.
Absolutely. She's the real deal too.
Yeah, she is. She's been senior this year, so
Yep.
big time.
Yep.
So
yeah, our girls team has a really good team going forward this year too.
well, Monica has been very, very consistent in what they do with just being who they are. And like I tell people, follow Monica and Monica Athletics on and basketball, Monica basketball, Monica Athletics on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, they got a lot of talent over there. That's why I'm glad I live so close. So
Right.
so I
It's
can get
a
access
short little
to them.
drive.
Short little drive for me.
Yep.
But you've been at Monacan for 8 years, right?
I have. Yes.
Yeah. So because you've been with RJ total of 10.
10 years, correct.
Yeah, and like I said, y'all, and this is the thing that I love about where I think where we connect. Every time I go out to a basketball game, it doesn't necessarily have to be Monacan.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's someone close or somewhere, if it's whether it's Stewart or somewhere, I see the girls and the boys basketball coaches there together.
Yeah.
At a certain section.
We're tight.
Yeah, y'all tight. Every time.
And in fairness, because I work 60 hours a week in
Right.
real estate,
Right.
I can't go to a lot of the girls' away games. I just can't. My source of income.
No,
We
we
make
get it.
about $1,700 after taxes coaching, so I do it for the passion and
Exactly.
the love. So, but Monacan girls and boys coaches, we are close, and certainly at every. Sean is now coaching.
Sean Armstrong, Alex
Yep.
Parsons.
Yep.
I can't think of the other lady. She's been there for a long time too. I can't think of.
Oh, she's yeah.
Yeah, but they've been there for a while. Then of course, twin, Leslie Basile. Shout out to
Yep.
her.
Yep.
They should be on this show probably next week.
Yep.
So we got
Angie.
them. Yep, Angie. That's
Yep.
her name, Angie.
Yep. And Angie's been there forever.
Yeah, she's been there forever. Yeah, shout out to Angie. So she knows the
But
community.
every
as well.
practice we're talking, and it's just the camaraderie. I mean, that's as I get older, it's like, gee, that's a lot of time I put in.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife is understanding. But it is the camaraderie, not only among the boys' coaches, with whom I love, but the girls' coaches. Love them all.
Yeah, you guys are just. Then even Coach Starr, even though he's at another school, he comes. And I just was
Absolutely.
like, so I just like, man, it's just crazy. That's why I said I appreciate what you guys do for me. You embrace me.
Yes.
The way that you guys do, I'm really appreciative of that because when I come into the gym, or even if it's at Midlothian, or even at LC Bird or Highland Springs, hey coach, come on. I go up there, sit with them, or
Yeah.
we
Oh, yeah.
just talk. So I love it. But Coach, I want you to talk about, and this is something that I did not know. This is a did not know.
Okay.
You helped invent the first ever hypoallergenic baby shampoo. You got to talk about that because
I will.
we I know we can switch to the subject, but I did not know about that, Coach.
So I was out to dinner about 5-6 weeks ago with some friends of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my life, I've always chosen to make myself uncomfortable. Right? Because if you're not uncomfortable, if you're not doing something new, you don't grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer in going to heaven. God and Jesus, I have a certain number of years here on earth.
Yes.
And I don't want to waste those years. I don't want to waste an hour. I don't want to waste a minute. I don't want to waste a second.
Mm-hmm.
Every second I have is a gift from God. So I graduated from University of Richmond, economics major, particularly macroeconomics. I love macroeconomics. I started coaching basketball when I graduated in Henrico County, just youth basketball, just to do something.
Okay.
And my first job out of college, I worked for the old McGuire Clinic as a summer job. This is a funny little story.
Okay.
And because I didn't want to get a real job.
Okay.
And I was in the process of saving money to buy 2 hot dog carts so I could sell hot dogs in downtown Richmond. I've always wanted to be self-employed.
And that's always been a big thing, especially downtown Richmond.
Yes.
Been a big thing.
And this was 84 is when I ultimately started that. But so in the summer of 83, I was hired to cut grass, clean up the old McGuire Clinic, which is the old St. Luke's Hospital on Parham Road.
Yeah, oh my God.
You remember? And that's going back to the
Man,
70s
yeah,
and 80s.
yeah, I'm showing my age now. Yeah, I'm definitely showing my age.
So I got a job, and it was fun cutting grass. Every morning, I'd spend the first 30 minutes picking up litter and cigarette butts. But that was my job, so I took it serious. So I created a game. You know, are you going to get to 200 cigarette butts or 250? And I literally would walk the parking lot, and I just made it, who wants to pick up cigarette butts? But that was my job. I was getting paid, so I did it. So I kind of liked it because I had complete freedom. I was done with college. I didn't want to go, you know, I was looking at law school. I wanted to go to Pepperdine Law School. That was my goal. And I graduated cum laude, pretty high in my class. But I said, nah, I don't want to go to school anymore. So it was supposed to be through August. Well, I just kept showing up to work.
Okay.
Come September, I'm still there. Come October, I'm still there. Come November, I'm still there. And at the time, Bill Leidinger, who was a former city council member, and I guess he was a city manager, they gave out a turkey or a ham. So I'm in line to get my free Thanksgiving turkey.
Okay.
And Bill Leidinger comes up. He goes, Rick, what are you still doing here? You were supposed to be gone in August. I said, well, I just kept showing up. And you guys kept paying me. So
Right.
he said, Rick, you got 2 weeks. He said, I love your moxie, but your job really ended in August.
Wow.
So I stayed there into the first week of December. I had saved up enough money, and I went up to New York City, Long Island City, New York, bought 2 Sabrett hot dog carts, and then the following March or April, I started selling hot dogs. And I did really well. And I made it a point to hire disadvantaged people. My first employee was just out of prison, and I gave him a chance. Now, honestly, 3 weeks in, he just never showed up.
Oh, wow.
He got put back in prison because he didn't pay his child support. But I did have a young woman who went to John Marshall, and I helped her open up her first bank account.
Okay.
Young black woman. At the time, Bank of Virginia didn't want to open up a savings account for her.
Yep.
The New Jersey in me, and I'm a laid-back guy, I really am, but I am passionate. But the New Jersey in me came out, and I literally went into the downtown office of Bank of Virginia,
And they, oh my God.
and I went ballistic in a nice way. But I said, she works for me. She's a good young woman. I'm helping her open her first checking account. You're going to open it for her. And ultimately they did. That, things were different then.
Yes.
They weren't, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
But I had to make a scene to make it right.
Right.
And it's nice to see how things are certainly much different now. But anyway, her name was Brenda. To this day, I remember Brenda.
Wow.
And
Shout out to Brenda.
Shout out to Brenda. If you're still there, you lived on Marshall Street. I used to pick her up, and she was a great employee. So, but anyway, after a year or so, I got tired of, I decided I didn't want to be the hot dog king of Richmond. And one of those days where I was selling at one of my stands, I was working the stand, my friend from college stepped off the bus, a guy named John Sherman. And he and I had been in student government at University of Richmond. And he said, hey, Rick, what you doing? I said, well, John, where you been? He goes, man, I almost died. He said, I had an autoimmune disease, and I was up in Rochester, Minnesota. He said, I almost died. He said, I was allergic to something. And we started talking, and he said, well, why don't we start a business? So he wanted to do a flower delivery company. That's ridiculous, like on a national scale. I said, that's crazy. Of course.
1-800-Flowers now.
Yeah, and all those. So sorry, John, I blew it. So then we started talking, and he said, well, why don't where can we be creative? So we actually invented the first line of non-comedogenic women's cosmetics. Non-comedogenic was a word that didn't exist in the mid-'80s when we invented it, but it meant non-occlusive, it didn't block your pores,
Okay.
natural. And this is at a time where the internet didn't exist, cell phones didn't exist, and Shark Tank didn't exist.
Right.
But we hired a company in Hazel Park, Michigan. We went through about 30 or 40 different formulators across the country. And we were young. We had chutzpah. We would go to the Jacob Javits Center in New York City
Okay.
and act like we knew what we were doing. We'd talk to Paul Mitchell and Estee Lauder.
Yeah, big deal.
All those people. And we were just some young hotshots in our own minds. And we met all these different formulators, and we came up with a company called C&M Pharmacal in Hazel Park, Michigan. And we developed the first line of non-comedogenic, again, the word didn't exist,
Right.
but women's cosmetics that didn't block your pores.
Okay.
So again, way ahead of our time. So we go to Tallheimer's, and they said, sure, we'll take you. We'll
Big
put you in
deal.
our 14 stores. Now, where's your $1 million advertising and promotion budget? Well, Larry, we're two young college students. John worked for T. Rowe Price up in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I had my hot dog carts, but I wasn't making enough money. So I became an insurance investigator for Equifax, took another job in the evenings as a waiter at Pizza Hut up on Midlothian Turnpike.
That's a big deal back then.
And, so every penny I made went into this company, but we couldn't come up with $1 million. So
Right. That's impossible.
went back to the drawing board and we said, well, let's just invent one product where maybe we can borrow on our credit cards.
Okay.
And we said, how about a hypoallergenic baby shampoo? Because everything was either Johnson & Johnson
Yep.
or Menon had one, or you got
Yep.
the generic, the off-brand.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, why don't we become the, what's the brand? Anyway, a more upscale version
Of those.
baby products. So
Right.
we actually invented 6 baby products, but we went to market with one called Tender Years Baby Shampoo.
Okay.
Got it trademarked, got it into U-Crops. Good Foods Grocery was the first store to take us. Shout out to Donnie. I believe he's just sold his company.
Okay.
But he was the first one to believe in us. We got into the Fort Lee Commissary, and ultimately we added a third partner, Kenny Turner, who's now a realtor up in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
And Johnny and I were $50,000 in debt on credit cards.
Okay.
I'm working 2 full-time jobs as a waiter and as an insurance investigator for Equifax. John's father was a CFO for a company that was brought in when they put companies out of business. So if the company's going out of business, John's dad would get hired and he would fire everybody. So
Wow.
John's dad was very hard on him. Again, wonderful man, but he told John, get a real job.
Right.
You and Rick are wasting your time. My dad and mom were more on the positive side. My dad had 110 patents, considered one of the top 3 polymer chemists in the world. But my dad was, again, very normal, very blue collar. He had 6'2.5", so I got my mom's genes.
Okay. I was ready to say, what happened, Rick?
My dad had the sweetest left-hand hook, and he was righty. My dad played ball till he was 60. I'm getting off target real.
No,
so he
but-
played ball with 30 and 40-year-olds till he was 60. So I always told him, and he passed away 2 years ago, but I said, Dad, my goal in life is to continue to play hoops competitively longer than you did.
Well,
I'm
you're on the
62
way.
now, so I'm 2 years ahead of where my dad did. So anyway, my motivation was positive on my end. They said, Rick, you're young, you're not married, you're dating, but you're not serious with any girls. Go for it.
Okay.
So John was motivated more by, I'll show you, Dad, and I was more positive as, I'll show you, Dad. I'll
Right.
show you, Mom.
Right.
So Kenny, our third partner, got a commitment from Safeway and Giant up in Northern Virginia.
That's a big deal.
Each agreed to put us in about 50 stores. And, back then, again, the internet didn't exist. So you had a chance to sell yourself as a feel-good story. So there was a reason. They weren't just being altruistic and say, oh, let's help them out. it made them look good as corporations.
Yeah, Safeway and Giant is equivalent to U Crops.
Correct.
For those who don't know.
And significantly bigger.
Right, and bigger, right.
In fact, Giant ended up being the firm that bought U Crops.
Yep.
At some point. But the commitment was we had to spend $100,000. You know, they didn't charge us. A lot of stores charge companies slotting fees. So to get on a shelf, if you're on the bottom shelf, it might be, I don't know, $50 a row
Yep.
per year. Mid-level, maybe it's $1,000, and eye level, $2,000. So, but they weren't going to charge us a slotting fee, but we had to spend $100,000 in the DC metro market.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I was 50 grand in debt. Kenny was probably 30, and Johnny was 50 grand in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And John had just gotten engaged, and his wife said, "You know, John, it's me or it's Ricky." He said, "I'm not going to marry someone. You're already in debt 50 grand.
Right.
Your debt becomes my debt.
Right,
And if you're going to go another 33 grand in debt, I don't know."
right.
So John made the hard decision and the right decision looking back to get married. And, you know, he's been wonderful.
Back then, it's a lot different than it is now.
Right. A lot different than now. So we ultimately just shut down the company. I couldn't come up with 100 grand and Kenny wasn't going to buy in 50-50. So that was it. We gave 4,000 bottles to, I guess, Goodwill, or no, Salvation Army. So there was a good ending on that. But I learned a lot. So, yes, we failed. The ironic thing was, you know, had the internet existed for 50 grand, we could have been a huge online presence.
Absolutely.
And again, Menon came out with a hypoallergenic baby shampoo within, I guess, 2 months of us. All of a sudden, that was the buzzword. And J&J, 6 months later, came out with hypoallergenic baby. So they were copying us. Little did they know. I got one more funny story, and the statute of limitations over. So I'm going to tell you this.
Have at it.
So all our product was manufactured in an FDA licensed facility.
Okay.
However, our sample bottles that we gave out in hospitals and to people was manufactured in a FDA licensed facility, but we filled it in my apartment at 536 Rossmore Road, St. John's Woods in South Richmond.
It's South Richmond.
Okay.
Jake Road.
So these are bottles that we handed out in hospitals, and we had 5-gallon containers, and Johnny's job was to scoop the baby shampoo, hypoallergenic baby shampoo, into a funnel that was held by Kenny. My job was to make sure, I had a cat, to make sure no cat hairs got in the baby shampoo.
Exactly.
And then Kenny's wife, Kate, would put the bottle on it. So we actually filled the sample bottles in our apartment in St. John's Woods that we gave out in all the hospitals. Again, all manufactured under FDA guidelines, but my job was to make sure none of my cat Shadow's hair got into the
No, we definitely didn't want
So
that
the
to
things
happen.
you do back then to succeed,
But that's how it was, though.
that's how it was.
That's how it was.
And we were so innovative, but we were so ahead of our time. Again, if the internet was there, I'd be a multimillionaire.
a lot of us wouldn't be sitting here right, now.
And again, I mean, I am now, but through real estate many years later, but back then it would have been a different life. And it's not the money that motivated me.
Right.
It was because most people said, "Rick, you're crazy.
Yep.
Here you are graduating cum laude from U of R. You're a waiter at Pizza Hut at 30 years old.
Yep.
Well, it's a job.
Right.
I was a damn good waiter.
That's right.
So I don't judge people. That's why I don't judge our boys if they do a knucklehead thing. Yeah, that's stupid. Let's talk about why it's stupid. But let's talk about improving upon that. And that's my passion. My job, like I said, I want you to succeed in life. Same with you, Larry, Zach. I want you to succeed at whatever you choose to do, whatever you're passionate about. We have so many years on this earth. Some people it's 18, some people it's a few, some people it's 100.
Right.
But my philosophy is go for the goal, go for that brass ring, find your passion and go for it. And if you're motivated by money or something that's evil, you're probably not going to really succeed. And even if you succeed monetarily, you're not going to be a happy person.
Nope. No.
Right? So ever since my dad would tell me, Rick, be your own man, do your own thing, don't worry about what other people think of you. Right? And so that's how that shampoo, ultimately it failed. We had one last chance of making it big time.
Okay.
American Home Products was buying A.H. Robbins. So because I had been on TV and John had been on the radio, and I guess he had done a TV channel, we were known in the industry.
H. Robbins was a big deal.
They were a big deal.
Robitussin.
Absolutely. Robitussin.
If you know about the Robitussin.
Absolutely. And their national sales manager and their brand manager for Robitussin approached us, and we had a meeting, and they wanted to buy our brand name and the product and sell it to the Bronfman family who owned Seagram's.
Okay.
And at the time, the Bronfman family was cherry picking. I think they bought Hold's cough drops. They were buying brands that had peaked or new brands that hadn't made it nationally, and they were putting together a brand. And those two men, highly successful, were trying to buy our product. When we got to the point where I think they wanted to give us 5% of our company, that was our baby. And in retrospect, 5% of, $70, $80 million product line, and maybe it netted, I don't know, 4 or 5 million profit. 5% is still pretty good every year.
Yep.
But Johnny, or actually Kenny and I at that point, no, I guess Johnny was still involved. We didn't want to give up. It was our baby, right? So it just died, and that's when we gave away the 4,000 bottles and let the patent expire. But after that, I opened up some children's stores. I had 4 locations. One was with a partner at Willow Lawn, and the others were mine. I had 2 locations at King's Dominion and I was a leasee at King's Dominion and a location, a cart at Regency Mall. Had 20-something employees, but the inevitable with high school kids. They had a fight with their boyfriend. They didn't want to show up.
Yep.
And again, that's just being young, but I got fined if you didn't show up and open up my cart at Regency. And I'll never forget, I worked 101 days straight at King's Dominion, a minimum 12 hours a day. And it got to the point where I had their calendar up, and the morning after completing a day, I'd come back and I'd put a check mark it, and I trained my mind to think I was in jail, and that's one less day I had. And after that, I said, man, and my wife, then my girlfriend encouraged me, said, you're a wonderful guy. I love your passion, but who wants to have a serious relationship with someone who works every single day, 12 hours a day? That leaves no time for us.
Right.
So that was kind of the slap to the head. I was like, God, I got to find something that I'm not managing 20 plus people.
Right.
Just myself, and I sink or swim on my own, and real estate was it. And my first year, I sold $5,000 gross sales. My wife carried us as a unit. I think I stuffed some envelopes at $10 an hour. Give a shout out to Amon and Associates, a public relations firm.
Okay.
They hired me part-time. Second year, I grossed $15,000.
Okay.
Now, when you expense it, I probably made about $7,000. And I know my wife's thinking, what the hell? What's going on? But I did things the right way. I told her that I wanted to create clients for life.
There you go.
And if it becomes obvious that you're just trying to make a sale to enhance yourself, you might get a few clients, but they're never going to refer you.
Right, that part.
And again, everybody's different. I'm not knocking
Right.
the one and done or throw it against the wall mentality, but my mentality is a client for life.
Right.
Treat them the way you'd want to be treated, literally, and create just a sphere of influence where they become raving Rick Stockel advocates. My third year, I jumped, I think, to 87,000. A couple years, I was up to 500,000 a year in sales.
Wow.
But it's because my clients recommended me. And again, it's not the money, right? The second you care about making money yourself, you lose all credibility.
Right. They can see
And
right
trust
through
me,
that.
I was so poor, in debt, $50,000 living at St. John's Woods. I worked at Pizza Hut not only for the tip money, but the managers felt so sorry for me that any extra pizza or pasta, instead of throwing it away, they'd let me bring it home. So for 5 years of my life, late 20s, even early 30s, I ate pizza or pasta. Wasn't good for my waistline, but every penny I made was going towards developing something.
That's right.
So I've been as poor as they come, and I'm not saying that, oh, I was poor, I'm just saying I understand
the
how
work.
it is not to have money.
Right.
And Rick Stockel will be the same person, whether I'm poor or wealthy. Happen to be fine now, but if everything was taken away from me now, I'd be the same thing. I'd have the same passion for life, same passion for my clients, same passion for coaching the young boys. And that's what I carry through life. And it goes back to when I wrestled. It was the mentality of a wrestler. We had a really good wrestling team. My co-captain my junior year, 4-time Olympian in judo, a guy named Mike Swain.
Okay.
He ended up being very successful, first non-Asian or maybe even first American to win a medal in judo.
Okay.
He won the bronze. In 1980, I think, is when America didn't go to Russia.
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
was on line to win a silver or gold, but he couldn't go.
Oh, right.
So we had a really good wrestling team. And to make varsity, I wrestled 108 that year, but I weighed 126.
Wow.
Right? And so to make weight, I'm cutting from 126 to 108.
Yep.
And that sophomore and junior year, I think I wrestled 115 and I weighed 134. I trained myself not to eat for 3 days straight. And I would do that for 4 months. Now, that also probably at age 15 and 16 led to me not being 6'2". Right? Your prime
Yeah.
growing years,
Yep.
and I'm starving myself for 4 months.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I am what I am. But literally, the last food I would eat would be Sunday at 8 o'clock. All day Monday wouldn't eat. Tuesday wouldn't eat. Tuesday, when I got home at 5 o'clock, I'd give myself 1 ounce of lemon lime soda. This was my ritual.
Are you serious?
1 ounce of lemon lime soda Tuesday evening. And then I'd be spitting in class all day Wednesday so I could make weight. And they did weigh in maybe 3:30. Because I was varsity, I didn't wrestle till 6:30. And then I would eat from 3:30 to half an hour before the match. And I'd gain 6 pounds back.
Yep.
Not very healthy
Right.
at all, but that's what you had to do to make varsity.
Yes.
And I wasn't the only one. Some wrestlers took X-Lax. I never did that. But I can tell you, I literally have done 10,000 jumping jacks in rubber suits
Yep.
in our showers or in our oil boiler room.
Trash bags.
Right, we use rubber suits, but trash bags,
trash
a lot of
bags.
kids use.
Yeah.
I mean, literally 10,000 jumping jacks to
Wow.
lose that final 3 or 4 pounds. So wasn't healthy physically, and they didn't do caliper tests for your body weight. Just it was balls to the wall. You didn't get an extra pound every month. You wanted to make varsity at your weight class, that's what you did.
You do.
But it made me mentally tough. Right? There's nothing mentally that I can't handle.
Okay.
And I attribute that to wrestling. So when times are bad, whether it's coaching basketball or real estate or, relationships, you gut it out. You know that there's a brighter future ahead.
Right.
I'm not a Pollyanna and say, nah, nothing bad is happening. No, you accept what's happening and you move on. Right? Like I said, I've had good times and bad times, but I feel my greatest quality is I'm consistently Rick.
Always. Ever since I've always known you,
Right?
you've been like that.
And that's how I am. So I've done other crazy stuff, Larry. I was a whitewater raft guide.
I see that. I see
And
that.
that was during the years when I guess my late
my
20s
God.
and 30s. And I've rafted some of the most dangerous
All right,
rivers.
so that's dangerous, man.
It is dangerous.
But Kings Dominion had a whitewater rafting ride. I wanted to get on it. I was
They
like,
did.
man, oh my God, it was crazy. But the commercials, what you saw was what you saw.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get on that.
Absolutely. And that, again, just goes to me wanting to challenge myself. And physically, yes, but also challenge myself mentally. And again, I was young and dumb at 27. I'm riding the Upper Gauley River. You get there, they run the Upper Gauley in dam release time for 6 weeks. And it's called Upper Gauley season. And, I had a couple times I'd fallen out on previous trips on the Lower Gauley and the New River at high water. Intense, cold, you're scared, but you come out alive and you're like, yes, yes. So I'm ready for Gauley season. I want to take on the most dangerous river on the East Coast.
Oh, my God.
And we're with our guides, and you go there, and it's typically 40 degrees in the morning now,
See, that's what I'm saying.
mid-late
It's cold.
October. It's cold. Water temp is down. It's dam released, and water's released from the bottom. So the water's probably 55, maybe 56 degrees coming out of the bottom. And it's misty, foggy. Several times it's raining. But on this first trip, you paddle back up into where these two big tunnels and funnels of water is coming out. And you're thinking like, oh my God. And the song from Deliverance starts coming in your head. What the hell am I doing and what's happening down there?
I told you, that's not my style.
And I'll never forget, we hit, there's a rapid called Pillow Rock. And it's wave as big as this entire room.
Right.
I mean, 20 by 30, and the best way to run it is to get your raft and you just kiss this big rock. And if you just kiss it, it pushes you off and you're safe. If you hit it too hard or you don't hit it,
Right.
you're going to flip.
You're going to flip over.
And of course, I've flipped there. Then the next big rapid there's one called Iron Ring, but another one called Sweets Falls, which is just a 6-foot drop. And there's Box Canyon on the side. I'll never forget. It's raining now. It's 40-something degrees, upper 40s. Water's cold. I'd already fallen out in the water. And we go over Sweets Falls. And all the raft companies go there and have their lunch. Because supposedly it's fun to see everyone flip and almost drown. It's kind of the dark side of rafting. So, of course, our boat flipped. And we get swung. And I'm caught in Box Canyon, freezing. I admit I was scared.
Yes.
Clawing at a rock trying to climb out. And ultimately I did. Some people from another company helped and pulled me out. And then you're done on the trip, and it's like the biggest adrenaline boost, and you're like, I want to do that again.
It really is. Can you imagine if Kings Dominion still had that ride right now? They would be banned.
Wouldn't be allowed.
It wouldn't be allowed because it was a big thing. I was like, man, we going to get on that. And then when you experience it, I was like, no, I ain't built for this.
Yeah. The things that were allowed then
ain't
not
nowhere
allowed
we're
now.
allowed now. But those were the times, though.
Those were the days.
Those were the
And
days,
I
man.
think sometimes it's healthier because we put so many guardrails on
Yes.
people.
Oh my God.
And this is another thing that goes back to why I like to coach and how my wife's a big influence on my life. Okay. Her philosophy in raising our son was, yes, we'll help you, but you need to make your own decisions and live with the consequences of your decisions.
Absolutely.
Right? We can't step in and bail you out. And if you do something silly, unless it's really bad, which again, thank God our son did silly things, but nothing too serious. But we let him live with the consequences of his decisions. And some parents sometimes, I'm not denigrating everybody and coaches, but we tend to step in too much. And there's nothing, as an owner of a real estate company, when I come into contact with other realtors that have never been told no, or have had other people step in for them, and they make mistakes, they don't know how to deal with it.
It's true.
And it's good. That's why I'm not afraid to fail. And I try and convey that to the young men. If you don't reach for that brass ring, if you don't push yourself, you're going to regret it, right? And even if you fail, my greatest successes in life have come after failure.
Absolutely. It's what you do afterwards is what
Correct. It's exactly, Larry. It's how you react to the failure. And I feel like if you're in, wearing a rubber suit the whole time and you're just bouncing off walls and you don't really feel the pain,
right.
You're not going to learn from it.
Yeah.
And you become stunted as an adult. And life isn't perfect. right? Life in heaven is.
Right.
Life in earth is just that, an earthly life,
That's what it is.
in my opinion. I'm not preaching.
I agree.
I'm not a preacher, but I live my faith just outwardly. I'm not proselytizing, but that's the way I view the world, right? And I love and trust everybody. And I mean, you have to do me wrong 5 times before I really start thinking. I'm not oblivious to the fact that you've done me wrong, but I'm willing to give you a second and a third and a fourth chance. And I feel like failure helps create success later on.
Yeah, I look at it as something to make me better. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, and that, again, goes back to my life's philosophy. We're here a short time, go for it.
Go for it.
Just go for it. So I was telling a story about, we were out at dinner about 5-6 weeks ago with a couple, and I had just come back. Last August, I took a trip to Alaska.
I remember that.
Into the wilderness, 6 days into the pure wilderness of Denali National Park.
Yep.
And we can talk about that later. But I was telling Susie and Freddie about that trip, and then about some of my rafting trips and how I backpacked across Europe. We were just, for whatever reason, they were interested in things I had done.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie looks over at me, goes, "Rick, did you know you're a real life Forrest Gump?" I'm like, I had never thought about that, but I always seem to end up in those situations. I mean, I coach Governor Youngkin's basketball team once a year.
Exactly, which we did an interview there.
Right, and you did a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
He talked about that. He goes, "I really enjoyed that interview with Larry."
Shout out to Governor Youngkin.
Governor Youngkin,
we can still talk basketball.
He literally loved that. When I brought that up to him, he said, "I want to do it." He said, "Anyone who likes basketball, I want to talk to them."
Well, you definitely know we can do that again.
But that was a Forrest Gump moment, because I met someone on his campaign who was head of minority outreach, and he and I became really good friends. And I invited him to play basketball with him. And then one day he called me, he goes, "Rick, you want to play with Governor Youngkin?" I said, "Sure, I'll play in his team." A couple days later, he calls up and he goes, "Well, Rick, there's like 15 people that want to play
with him,
who work with him. Do you want to coach?" I said, "That's even better." Right. And Governor Youngkin is, again, I'm going to tell a little story about him, and I'll get back to my Forrest Gump. But we used to practice at the downtown Y. Right. And there's some young people that, young children, young boys typically play basketball there. Okay. And when we were practicing, we'd have to kick them off. And there's one little kid, about a 10-year-old, 10 or 11, that I just loved him. He's one of those kids that's still shooting like this, but he loved basketball. And his grandma picked him up every evening after school. And so I would keep him around when we were running our practices. And when we'd have a timeout, I'd go out and teach this 10 or 11-year-old some drills. And he became really friendly. So anyway, one of the practices, Governor Youngkin comes, and everyone wants to talk to the governor. But he made a beeline to talk to this little 10-year-old. Everyone wants part of Governor Youngkin. Yep. Yet he spent 10 minutes just talking to this young boy about school and about basketball. Wow. And that told me everything I needed to know about this man. He actually cares about people. And that made a big imprint on me. It's like, okay, not only does he love basketball, but he's a good human.
He's always at the basketball game.
Yeah.
The John Marshall St. Chris game at John Marshall last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that was a Forrest Gump moment. Just because I met someone, next thing I'm doing that. And meeting you. I'm not the head coach. I'm an assistant coach. Right. But I was fortunate enough to be here. And I feel like I'm honored, and this is my Forrest Gump moment. Now you're allowing me to do a podcast on your show.
Yes, sir. I told you it was the
But you have to put yourself in that situation, Larry.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Right? Make yourself uncomfortable.
Yep.
I've done some acting as a background actor.
Yeah, let's get into that.
they were shooting a TV series, Homeland,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, what the hell, I'll apply. And I fit. They needed an older white guy for this particular role, and I got it, and that was my first taste of it.
Okay.
Now, it's just background. I'm not talking. I'd love to get a part where I talk or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dope Sick came in,
Okay.
and the casting director needed, I guess, a middle-aged white guy to fill a role in this scene.
Okay.
And I played a doctor on stage with actually the author of the book and two other actors.
Okay.
And next thing you know, it was called the featured extra. And so I got some good screen time there.
Okay.
And then I'm on Dope Sick.
Wow.
And I was doing Dope Sick, and they needed someone to coach in a scene. In the last episode, the girls were doing a McDonald's All-American basketball game,
Right.
and they needed a coach. I said, well, I'm a real coach. So they cast me as the opposing coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I got some nice shots there.
Yep.
And, the actors on and all the shows were really good, but my mind just left me.
And that was on Swagger.
On Swagger.
Yep.
It was Swagger.
It was Swagger.
And they were wonderful.
Man, that
They were,
everybody.
they're really good actors.
Yep.
They were everyday people.
Yep, everyday people. A lot of people locally here. Well, they
Right.
shot it here in Richmond.
But I'm talking about the main stars as well.
Right. That's all I heard.
Yeah, they were real. They were fun. It was fun. So, but that's just doing something that made myself uncomfortable, and now I'm doing background roles. I was asked to do a Capital One commercial,
Oh, wow.
but they canceled it because it was 3 days before the actors went on strike along with
Yep.
the writers. So I'm going to email the casting director now that it looks like the writers
they agreed
they agreed
in principle. So we're
Exactly.
waiting now for the
actors. So I'm gonna send that casting director an email when I get back to my office today and see if they still want me. But I like being the background. I don't need to be the star in acting,
Me too. I'm the same way.
right? I'm good in the background. So again, just another Forrest Gump type situation. Just do things that are different. And that's why I encourage our high school players, college, go for it. But if you're not comfortable going to college, there's plenty of great careers
Absolutely.
where you can be successful and have a happy life
And have less debt.
and have way less debt. Exactly. Larry, I mean, these kids come out of college, it's 40, 50 grand in debt.
Yep. Either the parents going to be in debt or the kids
yeah,
going to be in
someone.
debt. Right.
Someone's
Somebody's going to be in debt.
So again, if you want to go to college, I'm there to help you. You got questions, if it's economics, I've had several kids call me with questions about economics tests. Glad to help. But again, that generation, the next generation is going to help keep American life moving forward. And
Absolutely.
we want them to be as prepared as possible.
And we have to do our part in doing that.
We do.
You know, so that's why it's people like yourself and other guys that's in the community that we talked about off air, that they're doing a lot of big things.
Right.
And that it's very important that we continue to do that to try to guide the youth as well as people guided us. But, back when we were younger, it was just the way. Whatever our parents said, it was just the way. And
It was the only way.
It was the only way, and you went out there and you did it. You was on your own, like you stated. So your story was just like, oh my God, it's like my grandparents. It's like, well, no, you're going to do it our way. If it's not, you're going to get up out of here.
That's right.
And that's just
right.
the way that it was. And nowadays, if you say that nowadays, you might be in jail.
Right.
You can't say that stuff to these kids.
Yeah, there's a happy medium in between.
Right. It has to be,
And I think we've swung too far with too much of the guardrails. And,
Yes.
and it just takes people being, I think most people would agree with what you and I are saying,
Yeah.
but maybe they're afraid to say that. But parents
I'm not.
still need, I'm not either, but parents still need to be parents.
Right.
But they also need to and coaches need to be coaches.
Right.
But we need to let them make some mistakes.
Right.
And learn from it.
Absolutely.
And that way they're prepared for real life.
Yeah. because when you get out there in that world, in real life, don't care who you know or who you kick it with, you're on your own.
Correct.
So
Correct.
why are we setting them up for failure? Because that's exactly what you're doing.
Your phrase is great. We sometimes set them up for failure.
Yep.
That's a great phrase.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that, but that's exactly
What it is, So,
Yeah.
but like I said, this was very good, Rick, because these are the conversations that we like to have and that we talk about, but it's not talked about enough.
right.
And I want to be like what the Oregon coach said the other day.
Is that classic?
He said, that we worried about clicks, and that's what.
And that was brilliant.
He's doing the same thing, right?
Of course he is, and that's why he said it. And I'm a Dion fan.
Exactly.
I liked him in the pros.
He's been who he's always been,
and maybe that's why I like Dion,
right?
Because he's consistently himself. He
always,
doesn't care.
And don't put down nobody else to prop himself up.
When he and I was explaining to my wife, who actually loves college football, and she'll tell you she knows more about college football and college basketball than I do.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, but she says that. But I was
We'll let her
explaining.
have that.
Love you, Linda. And she's a big WVU fan, so shout out to WVU. But I was explaining how there was a late hit in the Colorado State game, and I watched and I said, "Damn,
It was
that's
obvious.
not right.
It's obvious.
It's not right," and it was obvious. And he got fined. To me, he should have been kicked out, but come say, come sa, it is what it is.
I agree.
But Dion comes on the next day, unprovoked. And in essence, I'm going to paraphrase him. He said, that was a hit. He got penalized. Let's not tar and feather that young man.
Right.
He's trying to live his life. He's trying to make the NFL or have a career outside of football.
Right.
Let's not go after him.
Right.
And that told me everything I needed to know about Deion Sanders.
Yeah, it goes back
right?
to what you said.
He cares about everybody. And he's genuinely himself. So I never thought about that, but I'm kind of totally in line with Deion Sanders' philosophy.
He's always been who he is.
That's why I like him so much now.
I've always
liked him.
And I've been a Miami Hurricane fan for years, but he was at FSU when he played.
That's right.
Not where he graduated, but where he played.
Yes.
Let me make that distinction. But
yes.
But he's always been who he's always been. So, but I think the jealousy comes in. I know we're going off topic, but the jealousy comes in from these other coaches because they're like, well, we're good. Why y'all not giving us this fanfare? Well, y'all ain't him.
Right. You're not him.
You're not him.
And that's okay. I mean,
it's okay.
Larry, this may come as a shock, but there are people that are better looking than you and I.
Exactly.
And women tend to gravitate towards them.
Exactly. I mean, it is what it is.
It's what it is, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
Deion is Deion, and people gravitate to him.
who he is.
So I embrace that.
Embrace it. Just deal with it. It's okay. We live again.
It's okay.
I mean, you're Oregon. You got the owner of Nike sponsored everything. You guys had heat cleat changing
every week.
Every week you got different color uniforms. You had on cleats that changed color from the heat this week.
And they're which was awesome.
Exactly.
And their NIL money, I'm sure.
Oh my God! And you're getting kids to come to Oregon. Why? Because of Nike. So stop trying to. Coach Lanny, Henny, whatever is that, Lanny, you all right with me, but come on, bro.
Yeah. And again, it was a great speech. I get it in the moment.
Right. But stop it.
But give me some Deion.
Yeah, give me some Deion. We here.
And again, Deion is, as the kids say, or we say, he's real.
He's who
right?
He is.
And to me, I think the greatest honor is when a player comes up and says, Coach, you're real. I appreciate you telling me that.
Yep.
Right? And sugarcoat it a little bit, but always tell the truth. If you tell the truth, there may be consequences, but you don't ever doubt yourself. Just like if you tell a lie, I got to remember, or we have to remember that lie.
Right.
And you tell one lie, then it becomes 2, 3, 4, 5.
You got to cover that lie to cover the other lie to cover the other lie. Right.
Too much memory free. So if you tell the truth, right? Like in real estate, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
You like it or you don't like it, at least I know I told you the truth. You may list with me or not list with me because someone else whispers sweet nothings in your ear. But I know I've told you the truth as I see it, and I'm okay with that.
And that's why you sell over 1,400 homes and they sell 500. That's the difference.
That's right. That's right. And again, you look out for your clients, they come back.
They come back.
That's just, to me, that's the best business model,
It works.
right? Treat people respectfully, look out for their best interests, and your clients are going to come back. And I call them raving Rick Stockel fanatics, because they will. Oh no, you don't want to use that. You want to use Rick as your realtor. Give Rick a call.
Absolutely.
And that's just.
You're as genuine as you come. You've always been like that. You've been polite, but you got when you're passionate about what you do, like you said, and that's where we intertwine. We right here
Absolutely.
because again, you don't mind. What I do here. It's like, hey.
I love what you do.
Here. But
I love your mission.
But like I told
believe
you,
in your mission.
I told you. But the thing about it, and this is the thing that I always say, and I was talking to Zach earlier. You guys believed. They believed. I was their first client. They didn't have to put me on over here. They believed.
Right.
They saw something again that I didn't see. And then you said the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, wow.
Well, when you and Zach came to my office the first time,
When we talked about that before you got here.
And
we just literally talked about that.
you may have thought he's being cold. I was just listening. In the beginning, I was just listening. I wanted to hear your story.
Okay.
Because I don't like to pass judgment until I want to give someone an opportunity. So while I may have been very quiet the first 5 or 10 minutes, I just wanted to see what you're about. Right? Because if I'm asking you questions, you're just going to answer my questions.
Right.
Someone who can think on their own, and both of you guys had to think on your own. And then I said, yeah, I do like these guys. Not that I didn't like you, but
No.
I believe in you more because you presented yourself and your mission so well. And that's all I needed to know.
And we kept it simple.
Yeah.
We kept it simple. And
Yeah, but
like,
you kept it real.
yeah, and it's just like, hey, this is what it is. I go back to when I met them. They said, look, what you had trouble doing before, I can guarantee you won't have it again.
Right.
And I always keep that in my head.
And it's who you work with,
And who
right?
you work,
You
right.
found a great partnership.
And so
I
when
feel
you
like
have
I
people-
found a great partnership with
You
all.
have, and then like I said, I tell people this is not for show. It's just what it is. And anybody who knows me, we know this. And
Yeah.
this is how you build relationships. It's so funny that we was just talking about this literally before you came in. So like I said, I said you're a little bit older than me. I'm a little bit older than them, but we all make it work because we're shooting for the same goal.
Can I get back to basketball?
Sure.
I think that's why I love coaching and playing. And this is a great segue because I play with some of my players, but most of the players I play with now are late 20s through maybe mid 40s. Here I am, 62. So I'm playing with all different ages, all different ethnicities, all different backgrounds. College, played in college, didn't play in college, played in high school, didn't play in high school. But basketball is a unifying thing. And for the 5, 6, 7, 8 players that are on my team for that night, there's an esprit de corps, right? You want to win. And when it's over, it's over. Because next Tuesday, I might be playing with 3 or 4 of the other guys on the team. But basketball to me is just a great unifier at all ages. Now, the truth is, up until maybe 10, 12 years ago, I could run horizontally or diagonally with these kids. No. They know if they take me to my left, if I don't use my geometry, basketball's geometry, and take an angle, they're going to get past me.
Right.
Right? Now, north and south, I can keep up a little bit with them.
Right.
But, horizontally and diagonally, they're going to beat me. So my game is evolved with, I still have really good hand-eye coordination, so I can poke the ball out. But if I come off a screen, I'm going to knock down a mid-range. That's it. That's my game. And we have guys that are 250, 260 that set really good screens.
Right. There you go.
And if I come off a screen, probably 70% chance I'm going to make it.
Don't go behind the screen.
Right. Right.
Do not go behind the screen.
That's right. So it's and so many of these young men. A guy Alex who works at CarMax, he played on the Governor's team because I like him so much. And Alex does a New York Knicks podcast.
Okay.
Shout out to Alex and his New York Knicks podcast. And he's a huge hooper. His family, I think he's from Negril, maybe. I think his family's Jamaican, and he grew up in New York City,
Okay.
hence a Knicks fan. But he might be taking some videos of our away games now.
Okay.
But he's a young man, early 30s, and I bonded with him through basketball. Of course, we have the New York, New Jersey thing.
Right.
You know, some of the other guys I play with, they're just older dudes, and they're like, "Oh, Rick, we can't run with you." I say, "Yes, you can." You know, now they're back in shape, and they're setting screens, and they're doing well. Like I said, the governor's son plays with us. He played in college. We have this guy, Martin, who was just introduced to us. Martin grew up in D.C. about 15 years ago, played with a lot of NBA players. Martin, again, this is only because he told me, did some knucklehead things, had to play JUCO, played in Canada. There's one video on YouTube. I think he scored 38 points, 36 of which were in the second half.
Oh, wow.
And Martin definitely would have played overseas. Did he have an NBA career? Maybe. But I've become really good friends with this guy, Martin, through basketball.
Okay.
And it's a unifying thing in my mind,
I agree.
right? You can be 62 and still play hoops with a 30-year-old. And what makes me good is, yes, I can hit that jumper, but no one talks more shit than me in a loving way.
I love it.
I am a loving trash talker, and not talking shit about their game, but saying,
Right.
"Man, you're 28 and you're getting tired. I can tell." I said, "You stay out late last night?"
Yeah,
Stuff like
see-
that. Or your jumper seems off. You know, you're not quite squaring up your shoulders. I
Oh,
said,
that gets
so you
inside
get
your
in
head.
their heads.
Yeah.
So no one talks trash better than me, in a loving way.
Yeah, see, Rick, yeah.
You know, that's my game now. That's what I'm down
to
to.
come out of retirement, but I can't do it. I can't do it. You got that one, Rick.
So I can hit the mid-range and I can talk trash. But at 62, that's enough to keep me
Yeah,
playing
keep-
4 or
keep
5
going,
times a
right.
week.
Yep. Keep that heart pumping. Yep. Keep that
Yep.
blood flowing.
Yep. So
And that's
that's
beautiful.
anyway. That basketball is my unifying thing. And like I said, I'm 2 years past where my dad played. He quit because he went up for a rebound and a 35-year-old undercut him
Yep.
and cracked his elbow, and that was the end of my dad's career. So, anyway, yeah. Talk about injuries. I tore my bicep about 8 months ago, right off the
Uh-huh.
shoulder. Went to the surgeon. He said, "Well, it was the long tendon, which is 70%, then there's a 30% tendon." He goes, "I can do surgery. If you were younger, I would highly recommend it." He said, "But you'll still be able to do, some weight, 10, 15 pounds. Give it 3 or 4 months, maybe ease your way back into basketball." I made it exactly 3 weeks, and I told my wife, "I'm playing basketball." Hurt like hell for about 2, 3 months. Now I don't even know whether my bicep is little.
Wow.
They call it the Popeye disease.
Yep.
Weightlifters get, or Popeye injury.
Yep.
But I play pain-free now. I broke my, this finger, left middle finger, about 2 months after that. Doc said, give it 2 months. I was back a week later.
Oh,
That's how much I need basketball.
mental toughness.
It goes back to my wrestling, yeah. You just deal with the pain. And I think,
Wow.
again, do I want to give up basketball? No. And I'll play in pain to play.
And I would love to play. My mind.
Why don't you come out with us?
I
It's all ages and no one
know.
judges.
No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, it's one of those things that I love the game. I just love it. But when I get out there, I just don't have the passion to play anymore. And I thought I would never say that, but I just don't have the passion to play anymore. It's just like, I know I can, like, in shape, I can run up and down the floor.
Yep.
I still exercise. I do all those things. It's just when I get out there, I just don't have the desire to do it. It's not that I'm not limited by any type of physical ability, but it's all mental for me. I just don't. I get more enjoyment by sitting on the sidelines, watching you guys
Observing.
compete and observing,
Yeah.
and learning more of the game from
Yeah.
that aspect.
Well, I think you and I probably have this in common too. I could watch a 10-year-old girls game and thoroughly enjoy it
And
from start to finish.
Yep. And people were like, man, you leaving? No, I'm staying here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basketball is basketball at any age, at any level.
Yep.
Yeah. You have a joy for it or you don't.
Oh yeah. So yeah, but yeah, that's for the most part. But I'll have to come up to the practices and just sit there and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that more this
You're
year.
always welcome to come to a Monacan practice. Always.
But I thank you, Rick. That's
Always.
good of hearing it, and I appreciate everything you guys do for me. I can't say enough. You know, showing up at the wrong day and end up talking to RJ, and then I end up having you sitting here. And I was actually there for something else. It was supposed to be Megan's basketball camp, and it was on the wrong day. But I happened to see RJ and Matt there, and it was just like, no, you should talk to Rick. I should?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should talk to Rick.
And I do want to give a shout out to RJ because the reason I really decided to advertise after meeting y'all was RJ said, Rick, I think you and Larry will get along. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll like Larry's mission. So I'd be remiss in not thanking you, RJ.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's one of those things go circular in life. But RJ put the thought in my head.
And I'm always going to be forever grateful for him because every time he sees me, we just show love. And then we sit on the side just talking. And same thing, I get on the phone, talk with the twins the same way. It's like, oh, my God, we got to end this conversation.
Yeah. You know? It could go on forever.
Go on forever. That's just mutual respect that I have for
Larry, Leslie and Kara are phenomenal coaches. More importantly, though, phenomenal human beings.
Yes.
And that goes to Larry Starr, who, while Larry has a stern appearance to others,
he does.
I am telling you personally, he is a pussycat. And he will do anything and everything for his players. I've really gotten to know Larry the past 4 or 5 years really well. Mm-hmm. And I love the man. I really do. He's a great coach, but more importantly, again, just a really good human being.
Yeah, I saw that because I was like, I don't know if I should, because he does
has
have
his
that
demeanor.
stern. He does. And
he's old school too, right?
He is.
He's old school.
He is, but I've seen his teams from when he first took over up to now. So this is like, but I never had a chance to know him personally.
Right, and he's someone that I think is worth an interview if you could get him in.
Well, he's around here. He's the GOAT.
Great, he is the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
And he's got lots of stories, and I think in a one-on-one interview, I think the Richmond basketball community or Central Virginia or the state of Virginia will see that he has a heart of gold, and he really cares about his players first. Mm-hmm. Not just as basketball players, but to succeed in life. And like any good coach, RJ, all these guys and gals, their real impact on players is what they do behind the scenes.
They do.
Which the general public doesn't see.
They don't. And that's why I try to highlight that.
Again, which is wonderful when you have these podcasts. You show us as real human beings. A lot of people may perceive coaches as we're only coaching because we're living vicariously.
Yep.
And I'm sure there are a few people like that.
Right.
As in any business or anything, I'm sure there are people like that. But the vast majority of coaches are doing it for the right reason.
Right.
And that's to help young people become better athletes, but also better human beings.
Absolutely.
And, from a altruistic reason and, a greedy reason, I want these young people to grow up to be better human beings.
Right.
So I know we are leaving the world
in a better place. Thank you. Right. That is so important.
Right.
It's definitely so important for us. So we just try to bridge that gap.
Right. And again, that's my reason for coaching. And, if my wife's willing, I'll coach into my 70s. I'll be selling real estate till I'm 80, if not longer. And I'll be playing basketball. My goal now is to play competitively to age 70.
Well, Rick, I want to see you through that.
And I do take particular supplements that are geared towards certain things in keeping the heart healthy. Creatine. I take creatine pills. I just read yesterday that I'm not giving. I don't recommend any brand.
No, this is what Rick Stockel does.
This
Let's
is what
make
Rick
that clear.
Stockel does. There are certain supplements that really help your body help itself.
Okay.
And again, having a dad, one of the top scientists in the world,
Okay.
led me to, even though I never became a chemist like him, a PhD chemist, I've always been interested in the science. Of course, I had the baby shampoo, so I had to be very hands-on in the chemical aspect of developing a baby shampoo. But these supplements are part of my lifestyle. I eat 5 types of nuts every day, just a small handful.
Oh, wow.
I eat a handful of blueberries every day.
Wow.
Every day. And a banana every day. And no, I'm not the most svelte guy, but my health is good enough to let me run up and down the court 5 days a week for 2 hours.
And I don't even know guys that's my age or younger that's doing that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not the fastest, but north and south, I can keep up with most everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still think I'm 25 and going against the 30-year-olds.
Until the game is over with.
Yeah, and I'm hurting. But I have those leg compressions,
Yep.
that LeBron uses.
Yeah, I had the Normatec.
Normatec.
Yep, I got those.
Yep. So I use those
And
4 or
they
5
come in
times a
handy.
week. I have a sauna blanket that I go in.
Yep.
I have a vibration machine that helps strengthen my bones. Am I a little nutsy on it? Maybe, but it works for me.
Yeah, if you get one of those things you put in your house like LeBron and Russell Wilson got.
Tell me.
One of
What
those.
should I be getting now?
What is it? What is the? Oh my God! They get into that little thing like a. Oh my God! I can't think of it. People joke about it all the time. No, it's that, but it's another one. I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, the hyperbolic
Yes.
chamber. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, you
I
need one
don't
of those.
quite have LeBron and Steph money.
And Russell Wilson.
And Russell Wilson money. The Normatec at over $1,000
That works for me too.
was hard to explain to my
Oh
wife.
my God! Yes.
But I got away with that. But yeah, hyperbolic tank is. The other thing I do now, I get a weekly massage, and my masseuse is actually went to Monacan, small world,
Okay.
and she knows Garrett Ugich and Nick Parks.
Okay.
And she's a specialist, and it sets me up for the week. And at first I think I don't want a massage, but my wife got me. We did the typical: you go on vacation, special place with your wife, get a couples massage.
Right.
But my wife got me a gift certificate. She said go, and for a year I didn't go.
Okay.
Then one day my back was killing me. I said, damn it, I'm going to go. I said, honey, I'm going to go try a massage. She said, go for it. And what started off as once a month became once every other week.
Yep.
And now it's once a week I get a full massage. And it breaks down the lactic acid.
Yep.
She can be tough on me sometimes. But again, it's just part of, I see my body as a temple. Not that I don't eat candy too and disgrace the temple, but I don't drink or I don't smoke. I drink rarely. Mm-hmm. And I just treat my body the best way I can. Again, I'm far from perfect. I do stupid things.
Yeah, but
I'll have a slice of chocolate cake. I'll have a beer out at dinner. But for the most part, I try and keep my body healthy.
Absolutely, and it works.
And it keeps your head clear.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so physically, I'm not what I was, but mentally, I'm as tough as anyone out there. I challenge anyone to say they're more mentally tough than me because I faced the pain, I faced the bad things, I've enjoyed the good things, and which gets me to one of the last things I want to talk about.
The grizzly bear.
The grizzly bear.
I knew it was coming.
So
I knew
when
it
I
was
started
coming.
whitewater rafting, and I've almost drowned 3 times. The first time I was rafting the Upper Youghiogheny, which is in Maryland. And this is after having falling out on the Upper Gauley. I was still balls to the wall. Give me even the more exciting one. Mm-hmm. So there's a river called the Upper Yough in western Maryland, near Friendsville, Maryland. It's a small river, sometimes no wider than, 12, 14 feet. But it's waterfall after waterfall.
Man, it ain't out there where the Blair Witch is it?
No. But you know what? Very similar.
Okay, I won't
Blair
make
Witch,
sure.
similar feeling because you're in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And we hit a rock, and I think it's called I think it was Wally Cleaver and Beaver Cleaver Rapids. And
Okay.
This was Beaver, and we got stuck on a rock, and it was 6-7 foot drop straight down. And it's a 4-person raft, and I wasn't guiding, so I was upper right. I'm stuck on the rock, and my 2 buddies in the front left and front back, because the guide was behind me, got nervous because they're now looking straight down at this waterfall that we're about to fall over.
Okay.
So they stopped paddling. Well, the river just turned us and we flipped backwards. We go straight down, raft on top of us. The guide cliff bounced out. I am now stuck under this waterfall, probably an 8 or 10 foot to river bottom.
Ooh.
And it keeps recirculating us. So the raft is now upside down. Every time you pop, we had life jackets on,
Right.
but every time you pop up,
Up.
you're hitting the bottom of the raft, no air.
Right.
And your 2 buddies who were your best friends at the time are now pushing your head down because they wanted air,
They
or
wanted
pulling your leg down. It could have been my mom and my grandma, and in the moment of panic, I would have pushed them down because all you're thinking about is surviving.
You're trying to survive. Right.
And it was me and Albert and Scott Stolte, who's an attorney. He does a lot of my real estate closing.
Okay.
Shout out to you, Scott. We were so scared that it just became survival. And I remember Scott ripped his ear. He had blood everywhere. He bounced out first. So now it's just me and Albert getting scared, thinking, oh my God, did Scott die already? And this was only about 20, 25 seconds of no air, but pure panic.
Mm-hmm.
And then Albert disappeared. And I didn't even know who it was.
Knew it was
I found out it was Albert II, but I realized I'm the only one, and I kept fighting it. And I'd bounce up and get sucked right back down by the water recirculating. And about 25 seconds in, I said, I was 28, I said, this is how you die. You were doing something crazy.
Wow.
There's risks involved. And so I literally came to peace that I was going to die. And I gave up. After fighting it and pawing, and every time you think you're getting up for air, you're hitting the bottom of the raft. So I gave up. So, you got maybe 8 to 10 feet to river bottom, and the top 6 feet are just this waterfall, and the water's recirculating.
Right.
So I gave up, and I literally sunk to river bottom. And that flow, so you got the water recirculating here, but river bottom is going down. So I sunk to the bottom, and it slowly kicked me out. And I came up, right, like I said, 25, 30 seconds, I came up right next to the raft, gulping for air. I was able to climb on the raft, and I'm like, oh, great, where's everyone else? Well, they had all washed downstream. So I'm happy because I'm not drowning, but now I'm stuck on a raft, stuck in a waterfall. And I'm like, oh, great, you didn't drown yet, but you're probably going to drown. So they were able to send me 2 we call throw bags.
Okay.
And I was able to tie them on different ends of the raft on each side of the river, and they were able to pull me to safety.
Oh, wow.
So that was crazy. And then 2 times after that, I drowned. And the 3rd time I almost drowned, I was actually guiding on the New River, and my wife was with me. And there's something called surfing, where you point the front of the boat back up into the rapid, and water just shoots up, and it's not typically in a dangerous area. And you're pointing back up into the water and the wave, and the water's just shooting. So it starts making the boat do this, and I flipped out, and I sunk to the bottom. So now all my friends who I'm guiding, including my wife, are in the boat without a guide. And I kept coming up, hitting the bottom, and they could feel my head hitting the bottom of the raft. And I hear Linda yelling, Rick, where's Rick?
Wow.
But that was the 3rd time I almost drowned in a 2-year period. I'm like, relax, you'll come up. And about 10 seconds later, I pop up and I'm safe, and that's it. So you learn. But the first 2 times, I just pure panic.
Yeah, you've never been...
Never been in that situation. So after that, first time I almost drowned, me and 4 other people decided to go to Alaska. So we did a raft trip for 7 days on the Copper River. At the time, it was barely rafted. Maybe 30, 40 people a year rafted it. And you start off, and you see the indigenous native Alaskans up there fishing with fishing wheels as you push off, and then you see nobody for 7 days. And the water's probably maybe 40 degrees, 38, 40 degrees, right? Because all mostly glacier runoff. And it's just brutally cold. And so we're places where very few humans ever been. And I guess the third day in, the mosquitoes were so bad. I mean, I had T-shirt on, or a North Face shirt on and pants. And my arm from fingertip to where my sleeve ended probably had 1,000 mosquitoes on each arm.
Oh, wow.
And I had a mosquito net on my head. And the guide, we had two guides, they said, we got to get off the river right now. So we pull off and we walk up on this sandbar. It was a 10-mile sandbar in the middle of glaciers along the Copper River.
Okay.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago, millions of years ago, the glaciers brought the sand. As they receded, left sand. So it's like he said, well, let's get off the river and just take a hike. So we're hiking 5 miles in. I'm exhausted because paddling on the river is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with my friend Beth, Crazy Zach, Dave Valeroy, Albert, and Clay. And he said, well, let's stop for lunch. So I just lying down on my back, and all of a sudden, my friend Beth goes, bear! And out of the blue, out of the trees, about 600-700 yards, comes a bear. Turns out a 2-year-old, an older cub, comes charging at us.
Whoa.
Literally. Well, I'd never seen a bear that close, and there was 10 of us. Now, the guy did have a pistol illegally against national park rules, but he did. Not that it would have killed the bear, but hopefully scared it off. We had 3 cans of bear spray, but you have to be within 20 feet of a bear. That's awful close.
Not me.
Yeah, so it's not really going to work.
No.
And if there's any wind, I don't have time to get the trajectory correct.
Exactly. And
So
nah.
anyway, I look up and this bear's charging at us. He stopped, gets up in his hind paws, gets down, starts pawing. And the guide, who's still a friend of mine today, Aaron Underwood, he said, everyone line up, do this, and make yourself look like one entity and start yelling. So bears have a great sense of smell, incredible sense of hearing, horrible eyesight. So the goal was to make him think we were one creature that was so damn big he wasn't going to mess
He
with
gonna
us.
mess with y'all.
And that's what happened. He got up, kept going up in his hind paws, getting down, pawing, snorting. I didn't have any poop left. It had already left. I was scared. But you're yelling, get away, bear, get away. All 10 people yelling. After about 2-3 minutes, he leaves. So we finish the trip. Great. So then we go into the wilderness of Denali. Okay, 5 of us. And actually, Clay wasn't on that raft trip. It was just the 4 of us. But he joined us on the Denali trip.
Okay.
And literally what they do is they take converted school buses and they drop each party off every 5 miles, every 10 miles. And you've got like a 25 to 50 square mile radius of just your group.
Okay.
And on that trip, we were given, I think, 25 square miles near a place called Wonder Lake, 60 miles into Denali National Park.
Okay.
6 million acres of national park.
And where is the knowledge?
It's in Alaska.
In Alaska, right.
So it's in between Anchorage and Fairbanks. So imagine 6 million acres of pure wilderness. And you've got, the initial area where the tourists go, and you probably have a mile worth of hikes. Not even a mile, half a mile. But then you go into the backcountry, and you have to have all your food in a bear container, right? You got to hang it over a tree limb. It's got to be 100 yards from where you cook.
Right.
And then from where you cook, another 100 yards from where your where your tents are set up. So we literally get dropped off 60 miles into the wilderness. It's 11 o'clock at night, and we're looking at each other. What the F did we do?
That's what I would have been saying.
What the F did we do? But I was like, well, we did it, and we're
Here
here
now.
for 7 days. So let's make the best of it. So we're literally macheteing. We're dropped off in scrub, no trails. So we have, a couple of us had machetes, and we're cutting a trail, trying to find caribou trail or moose trail or bear trail, which ultimately you did. Having to cross rivers, glacial rivers that are freezing. And I remember within the first hour, my buddy, one of my buddies, I'm not going to name, starts crying. Because I think, and he was a stud physically, but mentally he was a little weak on this trip.
Right.
And he had seen the first bear charge us. And he starts crying. I said, dude, what's up? He goes, man, we're here for 7 days. I said, yeah, we've been planning for a year for this and training.
Right.
And he got his act together. But, you know, in a group, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
There you go.
And he became our weakest link because he was mentally soft. And he started to leave our group. At one point, he buried a third of our extra food. He claimed he thought it was garbage, but he buried it because it was 4 or 5 pounds that he didn't have to carry. So, again, you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And you're in wilderness.
Yeah, that's why I said something crazy.
Yeah, well, so we had to deal with that. That's just another layer of anxiety.
Right.
So our final day, we're coming out. He goes ahead of us. And we're going out to the main road where we were near a mining camp. An old mining camp they had turned into, you could stay there. So other than the school bus that dropped off backcountry campers every 5 or 10 or 15 miles, the only other road that was, or vehicle that was allowed on that road was a pickup truck that would bring new linen, food, bring old people back and the new people in. And this guy left ahead of us. He was probably 200-300 yards in front of us. He gets out to the main road, and I hear, "Oh, F." And the four of us are like, what's happening? What was that? So 3 minutes later, we come out, and we see a pickup truck. We see this guy in the back of the pickup truck, and we see the grizzly charging at us.
Wow.
That grizzly had seen this other hiker with us, and I'm sure he had scent of food on him, and that grizzly was tracking him.
Yep.
Literally tracking him.
Yep.
And as this pickup comes to bring in fresh linen and food for the next group, they saw the bear tracking him, and they took his backpack off and pulled him into the back of the cab. And that bear smacked into the side of that pickup truck.
Wow.
That bear then sees us coming out to the main road and starts coming at us. And my mind's thinking, oh, okay, he survived the first bear.
Right.
But this bear, this is not a cub.
No,
this is a full-on 1,200-pound grizzly, blonde grizzly, matted, ugly. It's in June. He's probably hungry as hell.
Yeah, I already say he's hungry.
It's not berry season yet, so he's looking for meat. And he starts coming at us. And we had 2 cans of bear spray. Beth and I think Crazy Zach, David Valeroy, got it out. And me and Clay are standing on side of them. And we're yelling and screaming and screaming. And the bear came maybe 100 yards, 75 yards, and he veered off into the wilderness. So we're like, oh, God. But the story gets more interesting. So bus comes, picks us up 2 hours later. We get back. Everyone knew our story, so we were kind of the heroes of the day, having a bear charge us. And, you know, again, there's an esprit de corps with backcountry people. You share and swap stories. And we were drinking beer, eating pizza at this place. I was so mad at the one guy for just leaving our group that I took his Ford Bronco and went to Anchorage by myself. I just had to get away, clear my head. Beth and Clay started dating on that trip. They're still married. And Crazy Zach wanted to get away from us, and the other guy, Albert, took a raft trip. So when I come back 3 days later, I go and talk to the park rangers, and they said, you know, Rick, you know that bear that went after your group? Later that night, when you guys got back, that bear tracked 2 other couples, and they were camped apart, maybe 100, 150 yards apart, but they were together, 2 different tents. that bear was tracking them. And the one couple had cooked their food, had hung the food 100, 150 yards away, but they brought their little camp stove, whisper light stove, into the tent, and the drippings from what they cooked smelled. And that bear scented it out,
And came over there.
and he kept tracking them. And this is when you had the old-fashioned camcorders. This is early 1990s. Didn't have phones. So they had an old-fashioned handheld camcorder.
Uh-oh.
They were videotaping this bear. And they saw him go back over the knoll, and they said, "Come over here. He's tracking you." They left, and within a minute, that bear ripped that tent to shreds.
Wow.
On film, on video. And they packed out that night, got on the bus and got back, let the Park Service know. And the Park Service had to come and dart and kill, euthanize that bear.
That bear.
And it's called a rogue bear. And what had happened is that same bear, the Park Service guy was telling me, that a year earlier, someone had left food unattended, and that bear came and ate for free, and associated that 10-mile area of free food. And they had taken him 50 miles away to Denali State Park, thinking that he'd find a new range.
Right.
But he found his way back a year later looking for free food. And that was the third time he had been associated with harassing humans. So they had to kill the bear. Sucks, because it was human error that led to that.
Right.
But they had to kill him because he was going to kill
You're going to kill somebody.
So fast forward 32 years or 30 years later, I say, I want to go on that trip again. I want to go into the back country of Denali. I'm going to handpick who goes with me. And actually chose two clients of mine, Sean Chalklin and Luke Overstreet.
Okay.
And my former business partner, John Sherman,
Okay.
who helped me invent the baby shampoo.
The baby shampoo, yeah.
And for about a year and a half, I coordinated the trip. The first part of the trip was a 16-day trip, but the first 8 days we were fishing, haddock fishing, salmon fishing, kind of roughing it, but in a cabin, so that was fun. And then the last 6 days was again in pure wilderness. And but now it's 32 years later, and 40 pounds on your back. Mentally, it's brutal. I think the first day we hiked 23 miles. And it's not just hiking. It's 40 pounds on your back,
And you're doing all of
a
that.
topo map and a compass, and
People ain't doing
up.
that no more.
No one, right. Now, I made the mistake when I had the wives over. My wife and I kind of had a dinner for everybody, and we laid out all our gear. And I said, just to let you know, you won't hear from us for 6 days.
Right.
If you don't hear from us on day 7, call the ranger station. Here's the number in Denali, and they'll send out a search party. Well, that wigged out a couple of the wives. My wife just knows I'm crazy,
Right. Right.
so she just has learned to live with that. So I then made a promise to keep them on board that I'd get a GPS for emergency systems only, for emergency situations only. So we did do that, but we did the entire trip on topo map and compass. And literally climbing up a mountain, small mountain, climbing down. Climbing up, climbing down.
40 pounds.
40 pounds on your back, bushwhacking, no trails. Sometimes the only trail was along a little glacier stream or glacier river until you got out to the actual glacier rivers, and those are rock beds. And it was so beautiful, but mentally I was able to do it. Physically, it hurt like hell, but you just gut it out and you do it. And mentally, I was able to do it. We had a river crossing one day, probably the third day. It was 34 degrees. It was glacial runoff, swift current. And I did videotape all these, so I put it out there on my Facebook and Instagram. But you're facing upstream, right? Because if you're sideways and you're knocked over, you die. If you're walking downstream, it'll knock you over.
Yep.
So you walk upstream and you use your poles. And I sunk into a hole. So I went from my thigh to my waist.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, this is it. This is
How do you
another
get
time
out?
you're going to die. How do you get out? Because it was freezing. So you have basically a minute when you're not in a wetsuit to get hypothermia onset in water that cold. And I'm thinking, okay, you better think of something, buddy. because I was the first person to cross. And I said, magically, I said, well, if you get some movement. So I picked my right foot up. I was able to move it like an inch, and the current just pushed me sideways.
Okay.
So I was able to pull my pole up.
Right.
And I was able to get both poles and get untracked and able to cross.
Wow.
But if I had turtled, meaning fall over on your shell, I was dead.
Yeah, you was
There
done.
was no one there to save me. And then we climbed a mountain thinking it was a shortcut because it looked like a shortcut in the map. And it was nothing but 6-8 foot thistle. And we weren't going to be able to cut our way through. So now we had to climb back down the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That was dangerous, very dangerous. But more so physically, of course, but mentally, because you just want to say, F it, I give up. Someone call the helicopter. But we did. We spent 6 days out in the wilderness and proved to myself that physically I could still do it, but more importantly, mentally.
Right, and that's what's most important.
So now we're looking in a couple years to hike the Alps in northern Italy. And again, just do it. Again, life is short, and as long as I can physically do it, I know I can mentally do it.
Man, that's tough. And I thought
Yeah.
the Boy Scouts was hard.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
This Boy Scouts on steroids times 10.
Exactly.
But that's the stuff, again, make myself uncomfortable.
Right,
And the 4 people I went with were outstanding.
right, because you know them.
And I knew, and the other group was outstanding as well.
Right.
Just the one guy
That-
wasn't prepared mentally.
Mentally.
Physically, he was prepared.
But mentally,
This group was mentally prepared. And whatever adversity, and we're all alphas, but when you're in a situation where it's life and death, good alphas learn how to defer to the group,
there you go.
right? Everyone can't be an alpha all the time. So it was just a great group. And it's like the band of brothers. I would go anywhere, anyhow with those guys. Like I said, 2 are minor clients, multiple clients, 2 of my best clients of all time.
Oh, wow.
And we just bonded, right? And they don't play basketball. That's enough. They're friends that don't play basketball. How weird.
That's something different. That is definitely something different. But you definitely got to go through that. Yeah, that's definitely going to have a lot of mental toughness doing that. Trying to cut your way
bushwhack.
through.
Oh, yeah.
And with that weight, like I said, I did that with the Boy Scouts, but they were nothing compared to what you did. Nothing that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
definitely.
But I love it. Again, that's just another extra passion of mine. Whatever I choose to do, I promise I do it with
You
passion.
said you're gonna do it. You're gonna scout. You're
Yep.
gonna map it out, and you're just gonna
Yep.
do it.
Again, that's why I work 60 hours a week selling real estate. I've got passion. If I didn't love it, if I didn't love my clients, I wouldn't put in the time.
And people don't understand that, man. You think you're just gonna do a 40-hour-a-week job and go home? It just
Can't
don't
do
work
it.
that way. It's
Can't
not
do- I
gonna
mean, in some jobs you can.
You can. Some jobs you
Right.
can, but
Right.
you know where we're going with that.
If I'm going to do it, I want to be elite.
Right.
Not that I'm the greatest, but I want to
But
be
it's
among
gonna
the
take,
best.
Yeah. And if you're gonna do that, it's gonna take time.
Yep, and it takes time. And do things the right way.
Yep.
It's like basketball. You can have I've seen players go to college with incredible natural talent and flame out
Right.
because they didn't want to work harder.
They were naturally gifted at what they did, but when it required them to put in more work and time, they
Right.
wasn't going to do it.
And that's why you often see the Draymond. And again, Draymond, extremely talented.
Right.
But I don't think anyone works harder than Draymond.
Right. And they think.
And I
oh,
love
he-
those kinds of players.
Right, and you think that he's not that, but you was like, no, he makes it work.
Correct.
That's why they don't mind
Why-
continue to
that's
pay
why
them.
they keep them. Exactly.
Right, because they know
And they
that.
pay them.
Right, they don't have to. You think you can go out here and get somebody else, but who you
Right.
gonna get to replace them?
Right. And players like that just work harder.
They don't come around very often.
Right. And those, and then that's in anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I always say I'm intelligent, but I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm average looking.
Me too.
But
great
but
than average.
but no one will outwork us, right?
Right.
You'll work, Zach will work, I'll work as hard as it takes. And no one will outwork me at whatever I do. And that's just the way I live life. And for many years it meant 5 hours sleep, if I was lucky 6.
Mm-hmm.
My wife does yoga, she's very healthy, leads a very healthy lifestyle. She's convinced me I need at least 7 or 8 hours sleep. So I've changed my lifestyle in the past year and a half. Maybe when I was 30, 40, and 50, I could get by in 4 or 5 hours sleep, but I make it a point to work a little bit smarter. But I get my sleep. And again, that's part of my routine. That's why I'm able to do what I do. Take my supplements, I work out, get my massage,
And get your rest.
and get my sleep. And sleep is of vital importance.
It sure is.
7, 8 hours is, especially as you get older, very important.
Yep. It cuts out a lot of the other illnesses and stuff.
Right, exactly. A lot of the chronic illnesses it cuts out. And that, again, I could die of a heart attack tomorrow, but inflammation, chronic illness, by taking my supplements, eating my nuts, eating my blueberries, sleeping right, getting massage, that all enhances your ability to overcome these chronic diseases.
Right, and that works for Rick Stockel. We're not going to
Correct.
say it works for everybody.
Correct.
That is very important. That
Exactly. That is Rick
Don't go
Stockel's
saying where
routine.
Rick said.
Right. I am not a doctor. I'm not anything. But know thyself. That's another thing that, as one of the owners of my company, I may mentor some of the new agents and some of the younger basketball players. My big saying is know thyself. Know yourself. Larry, I love you, but I'm not going to be you.
Right.
Right? You're not going to be me.
Right.
But you know yourself. You know your strengths and weaknesses. You know what you want to improve upon. To be successful in real estate or basketball player, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Work on your strengths, but really work on your weaknesses.
Right.
Right? And if you remain true to yourself, you'll be successful as you define success. Right? Just be yourself. Be true to yourself, and you'll succeed. And that's for anyone at any stage of their life. It's never too late to change how you view life. Right? And you know, we all have negative thoughts and positive thoughts, but you know, if you double the amount of positive thoughts and lessen the number of negative thoughts, you're going to be happier. You're going to be more productive. You have better relationship with the spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your children, your coworkers. That's my philosophy, right? Again, you only have so many years here on this earth.
Make the best.
I want to get to heaven, but I want to enjoy each and every earthly moment I have.
That's what I say.
Right?
I can do that. That works best for me.
Right. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Man.
It's a long nutshell.
What?
It's a big nut.
Hey, well, like I said, but that's your why. Those are the things that you know, and you gave us another side to you that most of us didn't know.
Right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me out.
No, Rick, hey, you know, you make this opportunity for us, so why wouldn't we do that?
Oh, thank you.
It just make more sense.
Thank you, Zach. You guys, shout out to your production company. You guys are top notch.
And that's
Really
why everybody
top
want to come here.
I know, and it's just you make as a guest comfortable. I know Larry's spoken before as a host. You make him very comfortable.
Yep, and that's what we try to do.
And again, I throw this out, but I do want to start my own real estate podcast, but more man in the street.
Okay.
My one of my best clients and a good friend is Lonnie Liston Smith.
Okay.
If you're into the jazz scene in Richmond, Lonnie is elite. He played with Miles Davis. He's had Jay-Z, Beyonce sample him.
Okay.
I think he makes more money from those samples than he does his early records.
I'm pretty sure.
But Lonnie's agreed to let me interview him. And again, just a wonderful production company. And you've shown me the value of this. So
Hey, this is what it's all about,
So
man. This is
it
what
would
it's all
help
about.
showcase some of my real estate clients and let them show what I'm about, but also show why I love real estate, why I'm passionate about my clients.
And this is my whole reason of why I wanted to do this, because if you just see Rick Stockel or just see anybody else,
Right,
you don't.
right.
All you know is what we see.
Exactly.
And if you don't watch this episode or any other episode that
Larry, we all have a
you won't know
story.
that. We all have a story.
And that's why I love human beings. We all judge, that's human nature, but I try not to let a quick judgment affect how I view someone, because I've met people the first time and boy, they're kind of mean but then you get to know them and they're just wonderful people. And as humans, there's many different sides to us. So if I can leave the audience with two things. Number one, don't judge everybody as the be-all, end-all. Give people a chance, right? Because, and again, getting back to basketball, you might see a player the first week of practice and they're not doing well. Well, don't judge them. Something may be going on at home. They may be doing poorly at school. Help build them up, because oftentimes you're surprised at how good they're going to be. And if they're not going to be a stud basketball player, how good they are as a teammate to help other people. Maybe they become the next high school coach. You never know. So don't judge people and let it affect truly how you view them. And then the second thing is, I'd love your business. Can I ask that?
Sure.
I'd love to be your realtor.
Do it.
I've been selling real estate for the last 25 years in Central Virginia. I'm one of 3 owners of Newman and Dunn Real Estate. I've helped people buy and sell about 1,400 homes. If I tell you something, it's coming straight from the heart as truth. You may not want to hear it, and that's fine. But I'm going to be honest, be real with you. And I will be passionate. I will look out for your interests. So you can get me at 804-218-3143. And I know y'all have my email address and web address up.
Facebook.
And you find me on Facebook, but I'd love to be your realtor. And I promise you great service and just honest facts.
And if you watch on Facebook, he puts out a lot of stuff, couple of times a day, with a lot of information helping you to buy or sell homes. So you definitely want to take a look at a lot of things that will help you in the decision process with going somewhere with like Rick. And I've always shared every single day. So whatever he puts out, if I see it, I just repost and reshare it.
And I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, very. You never know where it might end up at.
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, good people need to help good people is the way I look at it.
Yes, sir.
Which is why I love being a sponsor on your show.
And I thank you
You're
for
good
that.
people.
And you can also follow him at Rick Stockel Real Estate on IG. Also Rick Stockel. You know, he's also putting that on today. So anytime he has a story, we definitely want to put that out there.
Yep.
You know, so you never know when you never know what you need until you need it. That's what I say.
Facts.
So, but Rick, I enjoyed having you here, man. This is what we talked about early on in the summer. We said, Rick, we got to get you on here, man. We had Dr. O. We said, come on, Rick, man. We got to get you in here.
Yep.
You know, let us know something.
Well, you got two sponsors that believe in you big time.
Yeah, and
Dr. O, that was a good segment too.
Yep, thank you so much, and I appreciate you both. Yes, I was just like, man, you know, two great guys. So I just try to do what the best I can do. But I got a team. I'm nothing without my team. I've always say that.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So
Yep.
So
Agreed.
like I said, from myself, you know, Lee married, Larry married, whoever you want to call me, whoever know me, y'all know I got.
That always confused me in the beginning.
Yeah, people are like, hey man, you never know who you.
But they know you.
Yeah, they know me. They said, well, I don't want to call you Larry. Keep it short. Okay, well, it's going to be Lee. So for the people who keeps it short, it's Lee.
Right.
But also for Rick Stockel, you can also follow him, like I said, those sites that I told you at. Also check him out at during the season coming up at Monacan High School.
Go Chiefs,
You know,
boys
go
and
Chiefs.
girls.
Yes.
Go Chiefs.
Come check us out. Come check them out.
Amen.
And like I said, also follow Morrisette Media on all platforms.
True that.
You know, so
True
we're
that.
the best in the business, and this is why we do what we do. And I'm going to say, we out.
Thank you.
I appreciate y'all watching the episode again today, y'all. You know, go over and make sure that y'all check out my man, rickstockel.com, for any of your home buying needs. Appreciate it. Thanks again.